Hey guys, it's Jake here with etrailer. Today we have a 2024 Ford Maverick and we're going to be taking a look at and I'm going to show you how to install the Roadmaster Direct Connect base plate. Your base plate is going to be just one of your 5 main components for flat towing a vehicle behind your RV. Your other components are going to be your tow bar, your braking system, your supplemental braking system for your vehicle, your diode wiring, and your safety cables. The base plate you can see here is actually mounted to the frame rails behind our front fascia. We're going to have these removable tabs. Now you can obviously see we have the Crossbar-Style mounted on here. It's not as easy to get these tabs removed because you do have to remove a couple other pins, but we have options for the tabs that are removable from the base plate itself that you can pair it with any other tow bar that we have on our website, whether it be a Blue Ox tow bar or a Roadmaster tow bar. The owner of our rig here today, of the motorhome and of the Maverick, really likes this crossbar style. If you don't particularly care for that, there's really no big deal. You can pick up those adapters to go into this base plate. Just search on our website to find the correct ones to go with your tow bar. He particularly likes this style because he likes the convenience and the stability that it gives him. It's a little slower process to take everything apart, but it gives him more attachment points to secure his rock guard on the back of his RV. One particular feature that I really like about this particular base plate is that everything fits on the front of this vehicle without having to trim everything. And when I say everything, that's my next point, is that they're going to have integrated safety cable tabs that you can tie both of your safety cables into. And then when we move across here, you can see that it's going to have 2 tabs that you attach your 6-pole bracket to. You move over, you'll see the breakaway switch. Our breakaway switch will have a tab back here. It's further hidden underneath behind our front bumper. This is going to have a tab you bolt to. So it's really nice. You don't have to trim anything on the front of the car, and they have a tab for everything that you need to mount to it. The only thing that they did not have a spot to mount was going to be our airline fitting, which is for our Air Force One braking system. To take your removable arms out, you simply pull on this spring-loaded pin, rotate it 45 degrees or 90 degrees and take them out. You can store these in the back of your RV or in the back of your Maverick. And then this right here, this is what I really, really like. We have plugs that go for that go with this, and then a plug that you can get extra online to be able to put in the ends of your base plate. But this is all that's left on the front of his truck, and he really, really likes the way that it looks. As far as the installation goes, this is an install you could definitely do at your house if you got a little bit of mechanical know-how and some tools around your garage. You will have to remove the front fascia off of the Maverick, but it's not that hard to take off. I'm going to walk you through every step of the way. If you do not feel confident in doing this installation yourself, there's no harm to that. You can check out our dealer locator on our website and find a dealer closest to you that can do this install. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and pull it in the shop and show you how we did it. To begin our installation, we're going to need to pop the hood on our Maverick. We're going to have 4 10mm head screws we'll have to remove. There's one here, and then the same 2 on the other side. When we do this entire installation, whatever we do to one side, we are going to be doing to the other. So just so that I don't have to repeat myself the whole time, we'll go ahead and take a 10mm socket and get these removed. Now we're going to be in the wheel wells of our vehicle. We're going to have several push-pin fasteners up in this wheel well that are holding our liner in place. We'll have to remove. Using a trim panel tool like this, or a push-pin fastener tool, whichever, really, really does help. These push-pin fasteners are kind of testy with a screwdriver, but if you don't have one of these, you could definitely use a screwdriver. We're also going to have 3 7mm head screws down here in the bottom that's holding this mud flap on that we'll have to take out. So if you just pop it out a little bit, there is an access point on one part of these fasteners. You can slide this in or slide your screwdriver in, pry out the center, and then pry out the base. We're going to have one more push-pin fastener further underneath here that we'll have to take out too. It is holding on to the mud flap. The mud flap does not come off. It'll stay with the front fascia, but there's parts of it that are attached to the body of the vehicle. Now we're going to take the wheel well liner and we're just going to pull it down and peel it back a little bit. If you can get it to hold in here, that's really helpful. Then we're going to have 3 10mm head bolts that are attaching this part of our vehicle to this part of the vehicle. So we'll just need to take those 3 out. I've tried using a ratcheting a electric tool before, a battery operated tool before, and it is very difficult to get anything back in here. So just grab yourself a small ratchet and a 10mm socket and get these removed. Underneath our vehicle, we're going to have these little cutouts here, are the little indentations underneath our bumper. Those are a T30 Torx bit. It's a kind of an uncommon size, so you may have to pick this up for the install. We're going to have 4 bolts on the bottom here, and then there's 4 more behind it that we'll have to take out. Before we get our fascia removed, on the passenger side, there's going to be a little wiring harness that is connected to control all the stuff on our bumper. You want to push in on the tab, you'll feel it click, and then pull that wiring harness out. This is a little black tab on it. It just helps to make the bumper come off a lot smoother if you don't have to unplug this while you're holding it. And we're ready for our bumper to come off. We always tape off these seams in case something gets jostled or whatever when we're trying to take it off, that we don't scratch the paint on either one of these panels. If you pull down, a lot of fascias you'll peel out on them. For these particular models, you have to pull down because there's little tabs facing up in here to help keep it all square. There's a little black tab right in the center that you'll have to pop, and if you can get on the back side too, it really does help. It's kind of difficult, but if you pop that tab, kind of wiggle it down, you'll see it in there. Just release it like that. It takes quite a bit of force, but you'll definitely want an extra set of hands. I've got Brad helping me. This plastic piece in our light comes out with the grill, and then there's 2 more little tabs up here on the top that are holding it in place. So this is a tab right here. You want to push down on that, pull back on the plastic, and get it to release just enough. I'll hand Brad the tool. He's going to do his side. You want to keep constant pressure on this because this is really tight. It likes to lock itself back into place. And once we get them both loosened, we can pull back, get some more of these snapped loose. And then I always found it's easier to take a trim panel tool and kind of get behind parts of this plastic piece here, and that'll help you pull it out. Once you get all those released, we'll just take our bumper and set it in a safe place. With our fascia removed, we're going to be working with this. It's a little noise maker for whenever you're backing up with your hybrid. It'll make a light humming noise. That's what this thing does. We'll take an 8mm socket, take this screw out, and we're going to unplug this unit because we're going to have to relocate it around the base plate once we get it installed. So just push the little tab on the white clip and pull this out. Our next goal is we're going to want to take this air dam out. We'll have a push pin fastener on each side, and then some clips on the top and the bottom that are holding it in place. We'll take a screwdriver and pry up on these, and if you work your way down the side, you just pop one out at a time, and then the bottom ones are going to do the same thing. If you just push down, you can get those to pop out one at a time. We'll set this off to the side. Grab yourself a white marker or any color marker you can see on this black plastic. We'll put a mark right here. There's some lettering right where this piece stops curving. We're going to put a mark there. We're going to cut that with a multi-tool and take this center piece out. We need to take these louvers out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get behind this here, pop it out on the bottom, pop it out on the top, and then it should just slide right out of the inside. We're going to take these out. We will not be reinstalling them, so you can just toss them. What we're going to do now is we need to do a bunch of trimming. we're gonna have to trim out the center support here. So you can just put some marks on the top and the bottom. We'll cut that out. What we need to do on each side, the best thing to do here is to really just look at your instructions. They give you a rough diagram of what you're gonna need to cut out. Just know that going forward, if we go to lift our base plate up into place and we need to come back and trim stuff, that's really not a huge deal. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this out and then we'll come back and keep going. This is what it's going to look like when you're done. Both sides are going to look very close to this. You can see we've got a nice open area. This here, you can assume that the base plate crossbar is going to sit right in here. Again, do your best to trim this out. If you don't get it perfect the first time, all that it's going to do is you're going to have to lift up the base plate, figure out it doesn't fit all the way on, take it back off, mark it a little bit, and trim it some more. Take your air dam. We're going to snap that back up into place. And what we're going to do with this is, as you probably could have guessed it, is we're going to have to cut the bottom off of this too. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark out on the side per our instructions. I'm going to mark this out and we'll get it trimmed. Grab a 15mm socket. We're going to have to take this nut off back in here because that's one of the points where our base plate tab is going to attach to. Now we're going to take our bolts off down here using a 13mm socket. Now because I've done a couple of these Ford Maverick flat toes before, I know that we're going to have to get more length out of this wire than what we currently have because it's going to have to go on the other side of our base plate end. We'll take a screwdriver and push this pin out. There's going to be another one right here and another one right here. Pop those three out and then hopefully we can get some more length out of this wire to be able to pull it out. Take your appropriate side bracket. We're going to lift it up into place. Make sure that this wiring harness makes it over top. Slide that over top of our stud there. Make sure the holes are lining up here at the bottom. We'll take our bolts, put a little bit of red Loctite on it, and then put them back in place. Then you'll want to take your that speaker, put it back into place with the bolt and washer and nut that they give you in your kit. I'm going to put that on the back side. Then we're going to reconnect this wiring harness. That is the reason why we had to get some more length here because originally this was mounted up way over here. So we had enough wiring for when it was over there, but you can see this push pin connector here, or this plastic piece, was in this hole over here. So we were able to achieve our about 4 more inches to get over to our new mount for our speaker. And for the bracket, we are going to leave this loose until we get all our hardware in place and we get the base plate on the front here, because otherwise it is very difficult to get these bolts to line up with these 3 holes on both sides if you don't have it loose. Now we're going to take our nut plate, want to put a small bend in it, and we're going to be putting it inside this opening to be able to thread our bolt into place. You're going to have 2 shorter bolts in your kit. We'll want to put a lock washer on here. Then we'll slide it through this opening and thread it into our nut plate. Now we're going to lift our base plate up into place. You can set it on that plastic part there while we get this hardware in place, but we'll slide a bolt in from the outside, put a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut on it. Be sure that you're using red Loctite on all of this hardware. Once you get all your hardware in place, there is a trick that you can do here because it's going to be very difficult to get a wrench in on the nut side of the center bolt. What I did was I just used the bottom bolt as a marker to keep everything lined up and in place. Get your 2 center bolts tightened down, and then we'll come back and I'm going to tighten down the top and the middle ones, and then torque down the middle one, then put our last bolt in the bottom. Then you want to come back and torque down all of our hardware to the specifications and the instructions. Once we get our side bolts here torqued down to those specifications in the instructions, you can take this and you just want to bend it back and forth until it breaks off. That is going to do it for the installation of our base plate. You do not have to trim anything out on the fascia, so if you're not installing any other components, you can go ahead and put your fascia back on. I highly recommend installing your braking system or your diode wiring if you have the front fascia off already, because it's a lot easier to run your wiring and to get everything connected. You're going to have a tab here on your base plate that is difficult to get to the back, or to get to the hardware if you've got the fascia back on. So it's definitely easier to run all this stuff, run your wiring, use these little tabs to zip tie your wiring off to if you have the fascia off. So we're going to go ahead and get our diode wiring and our braking system done, and then we'll throw our fascia back on. Well guys, hopefully this video helped you decide whether or not the Roadmaster Direct Connect base plate is right for you and your 2024 Ford Maverick.